Welcome to Blender Tutorial 6. In this sixth and final tutorial, we will be messing about with materials, textures, and other such things. Materials and textures are what make things look real. Please subscribe. We will be adding textures. As you can see, the apple is now on an highly polished table. The knife has more texture to it and things like that. So, and this is where we left off last time, I believe. I'll just set my screencast keys on. Go. In between these tutorials, I have my computer decided we're going to go totally belly up. So this is a new computer, and I'm getting used to it, so you have to bear with me maybe. In this tutorial, we have the old texture here. We've just got one material. I'm going to rename that now to apple. And then I'm going to duplicate it a number of times because we've got the knife, we've got the plate, we've got the table. So, right. So, you hit this here, it duplicates the material once, twice, and 3 times. So now we've got apple, apple 1, apple 2, apple 3. So, what I'm going to do is change the name of this one to knife. Change the next one to plate, for instance. And change the last one to table, I think. Table. If you don't remember, the way we actually created these textures, let's get rid of that texture. For instance, is the way we created these textures is you go new, go on the base color, select the little thingy, the little dot at the side of it, base color, dot, image texture, and then just underneath the image texture you can actually select this box and you can load the image from your file. In my case this is texture pink, which I've included in all the tutorials previously, and I probably put the link in the one under this one. There we go. Right. In fact, that last one I'll call it. The last one I will call seeds, I think. So go into it, the very last one, which was material, double click on it, seeds. I don't know if I want one, but there we go. Now we'll select the table here, go into shading. This fetches up the material, and the material that we're in there we've got attached to the table is apple at the present. So hit the minus side to take the, Control Z. Select the table, hit the minus side. And the next thing we're going to do is add the table texture. Table. There we go. Right, select this up there. This just shows it rendered in Eevee. I think what we're going to have is a really shiny table. So go into here, increase the metallic, which is the actual shininess of the table, take the roughness down, makes it more reflective, and as you can see, if you look from a distance you can see the lights reflecting in the table. So we've got a very reflective table. Sure that's on smooth shader on the table. Take the roughness down to 0, And we've got a very, very shiny table, and you can even see the plate reflecting in it. Still got a bit of a shadow in there. There's the knife reflecting in it. Gives things a bit of realism. Right. So next thing we're going to do is actually select the knife, take away the texture from the knife, and we'll add in the knife texture. Then we'll select all the parts of the apple. In fact, the apple, all the parts of the apple, I've got the apple texture anyway. So we'll select the plate next, take that away, and then we'll add the plate texture. The reason we're doing this is because the apple you may want to be slightly rough, the table want to be very reflective, and the knife, it's like a balance in between. You probably want it a bit rough with a bit of texture into it, but probably highly reflective, especially on the blade there. For now, I'm going to take it into Eevee mode, just to make it easier to see. In fact, no, I'm going to leave it in cycles mode, because the reflections are drawn better. And I'll just take the viewport up to 128, so every time we move it, it looks better. Luckily for me, my new computer can handle this, whereas my old one couldn't. So let's select this knife. As you can see, if we go into texture, the knife texture is applied to this one. We're going to make this highly reflective, and we're going to take the roughness down to 0. As you can see, you've got the apple reflected now in the knife. Maybe a bit too reflective. Change the roughness until it just disappears slightly. Take the metallic, and I'm going to just increase the brightness of the colour white. As you can see, the knife now is quite highly reflective. The next thing I'm going to work on is the apple itself. So, right. In fact, just to actually make this easier to see, I am going to put it into Eevee. There we go. All this does is shows you reflections with basic lights on. Right, select the apple. For the apple, I'm going to add a bit of a bump map to it. The reason I'm going to do that is because although apples are very smooth and very reflective, if we just add reflection to this, and drop it back into cycles for a second. Just reflecting the actual plate and everything underneath it. But it doesn't look particularly real. There's no roughness about it, so take it back into Eevee. What I'm going to do is select that image there. Shrink this down slightly so we can see it clearly, or clearer. Leave the image there just so we can see a bit of the apple. Right, duplicate this, move it down to there, and I'm going to move that one up there. I just did that by actually just clicking on the left mouse button. That one up there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first add in a converter, convert to black and white. Then I'm going to add a bump map, vector, then bump. Let's just move them together again so I can make it slightly bigger. So I'll show you. As you can see up here, we've got the apple, so you collect the colour to the colour and the value to the height. Then we connect the normal to the normal. And as apples turned into an old prune. Really, really, really rough. Which of course we don't want, do we? So what you do is you take the strength of this down to 0.01. Makes it shiny again. Just move this down slightly so I can see the apple a bit better. And then if you play around with these amounts, you can make it look like it's got a slight texture. See the 0.3 there, so a bit of a dimple on it, which I think looks quite effective. I'm going to increase the shininess slightly by taking the roughness down on the apple. Too much, because if you take it down too much it doesn't look right. At the metallicness down slightly, which makes it go a little bit brighter. Take the roughness up a little bit, and maybe take the strength down a little bit further. Oops, easy. Say 0.02. It just gives the apple a bit of depth, you see, the way it reflects the light. And of course, because that's been used on all the apple texture, it gives this face here, or the skin, a little bit of, one, it gives it a bit of sheen, it also gives it a bit of wetness. Look, it looks a bit wet, if you know what I mean, so makes it look more alive. There we go. So as you can see, we've got a quite realistic looking picture, render of an apple even. So the very final thing that I'm going to do is what they call add a HDR image, which actually affects the light. I think the seed is on a seed uses the apple texture, but I think it's got enough shininess anyway now and enough roughness, so I'm quite happy with that. The plate, just going to have a quick mess about with the plate. So going to textures again. The plate, do we make it really shiny? See what that looks like in a render. 12. Nope. What I've done there is took the roughness down to 0 and left it quite reflective. Going to the render mode now and to cycles and just actually see what this looks like in cycles as rendered in cycles. 12. Wow, I actually like that, yeah. Can't see it, but it's actually drawing it now. This is what it does when you actually put it in cycles. It gives it better lighting and things, but it takes longer to do so. See, the table's really reflected in there. Yeah, I do quite like that. Let's zoom in on it. Do quite like that. So the last thing I'm going to do is go into performance, and under the performance tab No, sorry. Right, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an HDR image. The image I'm going to be using I got from HDR Evan. This guy actually has produced loads of HDR images. Most of them are free, but do support him. So, Luke, click on the World tab. In the colour, against the colour, hit the little dot at the side of it as usual. Environmental texture. It puts like a purple haze on it, and now what I'm going to do is load a file from my computer. And let's see, what should we use? Let's have a look. We could use something natural. I don't like the look of that one, so let's have a look. Trees, maybe. Depends on the light. Too bright. In the cave. A bit too blue. Easy. Near the lake. Maybe near the lake. As you can see when we're rendering it in cycles, we've got a lot of noise here. Luckily, Blender 2.8 has got a really good... Stop that. Luckily, Blender 2.8 has got a really good fix for that. And it's called denoiser. Let's have a look. That's found in here. Right, so when you go in here, it always goes to the top, but you hit that and it's right down at the bottom. Click the denoise. When we render this time, let's have a look. As you can see, it's denoising things. Just going to draw the 60 tiles first. Maybe come back when this is finished. And at the end, to start to denoise it. Very grainy. As you agree, that's much better because it's denoised the image. That more or less ends this tutorial. Please subscribe, which helps me. This is the last tutorial in this series. Hope you enjoyed it. The more you mess about with the principal shader, the better you actually become at modelling, I believe. Really enjoyed doing this tutorial. Please join me on the next tutorial, which will be coming shortly. Right, let's start again. I've just done a full recording and not press record. I just don't believe that. But there you go. It's all good.